Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I will show you how you can buy cryptocurrencies using Binance P2P method. Now before we jump in, I'd like to spend a minute or two to explain to you guys why you might potentially use the P2P method to buy cryptocurrencies. So it's obvious that we're going to have to spend some of our fiat currencies like US dollars, euros or British pounds to actually buy the crypto assets. But as of now, there are a lot of complexities involved when it comes to spending a buck to purchase crypto assets. Issues that can actually vary from certain banks not allowing you to transfer your money into crypto exchanges to issues that might be restricting you from buying crypto assets depending on your geographical location or the country that you actually live in, or getting charged an extremely hefty fee for making purchases through credit or debit cards. So purchasing your crypto assets using a peer-to-peer method, or in other words P2P method, is basically the ultimate solution for all of these hindrances. So what happens actually in the P2P method is that Binance is actually facilitating a platform for us where you can connect with the other people who might potentially want to sell you their cryptocurrencies directly, and the payment methods that they're accepting are actually not going to involve in you having to do any direct transfers to Binance platform from your side. So instead what you can do is you can transfer your money directly to the local bank account of the seller, and in return the seller who holds their cryptocurrencies on their Binance funding wallet will actually release the corresponding amount of crypto assets to you once they have the confirmation that you have completed the transfer of the fiat money into their account. So I think you guys can see that with this method there is absolutely no need for you to make your bank interact with any crypto exchange at all, which can be a big relief because, as you might have heard, at least with the current circumstances, it might not be the best interest of the banks to actually be supportive when it comes to cryptocurrencies, as it's posing a direct threat to their existence in the long term. And guys, currently with the P2P method, you have dozens of other options as well to transfer your fiat money to a seller. You can use applications like PayPal, TransferWise, Skrill, ADV Cash, Payoneer, and so much more. So essentially, you don't even need to touch your bank account in this case if you're using some of these other fintech companies to actually handle your money. So guys, with that introduction, let's jump in and open up the Binance app. And by the way, I'm using my mobile application to make this purchase, but you might as well just go ahead and use the desktop application because the overall concept will still be the same. So you will be able to follow along quite comfortably even if you're using the desktop application. So over here in my spot wallet, you can see that I currently only have about 51 USD coins. And to demonstrate to you guys how to buy coins using the P2P method, I'm going to actually do a purchase of $500 worth of USDT, which is the Tether USD stable coin. So coming back to my home screen of the application, over here you can see there is one option called P2P trading. Now in case if you cannot find this in your application, you can just click more over here, and if you scroll down a bit, there's one part called trade, and right over here you can find the P2P option. So after that you can click the P2P trading button, and that's going to take you to a page like this. Over here you can see there are two options. We can either buy cryptocurrencies using this P2P method, or we can use the same method to sell crypto assets as well. By the way guys, my next video will show you how you can sell your crypto assets and get fiat currencies in return using this Binance P2P platform. So in case if you guys are interested in checking that out, you can click on the link that's appearing on the top right corner right now. So in this case, you can see we actually have access to buy a number of cryptocurrencies. Over here, you can see that by default, it's USDT. That means in this case, I'm assuming that I'm going to buy some USDT. But similarly, you can even purchase Bitcoin, Binance USD, BNB, Ether, DAI, all of these different coins using the P2P method. But from my experience, I would actually recommend you guys to stick just to stable coins if you're purchasing cryptocurrencies using this P2P method, because for the other assets, I think you might be able to get a good deal if you're buying it directly from an exchange. Now, ideally, 1 USDT should be equal to $1 US, but that's not the case when you're purchasing cryptocurrencies using the P2P method. And over here, you can see the currency that I have chosen right now. So with this current setting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend my US dollars to buy USDT directly off of these different sellers that you can see on the screen. Alright, so if I scroll down here, what you can see is actually a bunch of different sellers who are ready to sell me USDT in exchange for US dollars. So obviously the heading over here is basically the name of the seller so that you can identify which seller that you're going to deal with. So you can see that the price that has been quoted by the first seller is just 0.999 USD. And we have another section called crypto amount and the limit. And down here what they show is their preferred method of payment. And the price that you're seeing over here is basically the amount that this person charges you per 1 USDT. So you can see that the first seller is actually charging only 0.999 USD instead of charging one whole dollar. So actually he's selling it at a bit of a discount. And when you scroll down, the further you go down, you can see that the selling price is increasing swiftly. Over here, you can see this seller is basically charging you 1.006 US dollars in exchange for 1 USDT. And right over here, what you can see is basically the crypto amount that that guy possesses in his wallet. And on the third line, what you can see is basically the amount that he's willing to deal with in one transaction. For example, if you wanted to buy crypto from this guy right over here, you have to buy a minimum of $25 worth of crypto assets, and you're bound to a maximum value of 1010.23 US dollars. Alright guys, so that's how that works. So usually it's in your best interest to scroll up and get the very first quotation, because that's usually going to offer you the best price. And you can see that while I was speaking, there was a quick update and another seller who is willing to offer a lower price got listed as the very first entry over here. However, his limits are actually quite small. It's only varying from $20 to up until about $310. So you have to check whether this fits your needs or not. And before we proceed on to the next part, I'm also going to bring your attention to this information that you can see on the top right corner for each seller. Over here you can see that the number of trades that that guy has done, and over here you can see the percentage of successful trades. So for some reason, if you happen to find a very low value as the percentage over here, that means probably that person might have run into quite a number of issues when it comes to successfully carrying out these P2P transactions. So I personally would rather avoid people who do not have a very high percentage in terms of their successful completions. And 98.98% certainly is quite a good figure. So I wouldn't really have any second thoughts if I were to directly make the purchase from this seller. Now, depending on your geographical location and the country that you live in, you might not really want to spend your US dollars, or you might not even have a US dollar account. So how do you change your currency? For example, let's say if you're a Japanese national and you got your Japanese bank accounts, it would be much easier for you to find a seller from Japan and make the transfer directly in Japanese yen to that seller. So that's exactly what you're seeing right over here. If you were to go ahead and click right over here, this kind of a currency list gets opened up. And if you happen to select JPY over here, Japanese yen, you can see that now it's a completely different bunch of sellers. And right down here, you can see what sort of payment methods that they're accepting. So before it was just AirTM, and right now over here, you can see that this seller is basically accepting WeChat, Alipay or bank transfer. And the second seller, you can see that he or she is accepting Line Pay. So there are so many different types of methods that are being accepted by the sellers. And if you happen to click on this filter button, you will actually be able to manually filter those different payment methods. Over here, you can see that for JPY, if you expand these payment methods, you can see all the different payment methods that are actually available. So as you can see, bank transfer is available, Line Pay, Post Bank, Revolut, TransferWise. So I'm sure you'll be able to find your preference out of all of these different payment options that are actually being given by the Binance platform for us. And in my case, at the time of making this tutorial, I happen to be in Sri Lanka, where the currency is Sri Lankan rupees. So I'm going to do this transaction actually in Sri Lankan rupees, and I'm going to buy USDT in exchange for Sri Lankan rupees. So I'm going to change this from Japanese yen to Sri Lankan rupees. The symbol is LKR. And again, over here, you can see a bunch of different sellers who are actually willing to accept Sri Lankan rupees in exchange for USDT. So once you have identified a good seller based on the red, as well as by looking at the number of successful trades, and if the amount that you're going to buy is actually fitting the limits proposed by the seller, if all of these things are in check, then you can click over here on this buy button and you will be taken to a screen like this. Now over here you can again specify the amount that you would like to buy in terms of a fiat amount or in terms of a crypto amount. So let's say if you enter the fiat amount, the corresponding crypto amount will be calculated automatically. But in this case, since I would like to buy 500 USDT, I don't really have to bother about making the calculation in fiat amount. I can simply click over here and select buy crypto and then enter the corresponding amount, which is 500 USDT, and the amount of LKR that I'm supposed to pay to the seller will automatically get calculated and will be specified right over here. And let's see, if I change this to be 550 instead of 500, the amount will get updated automatically. Let's just go ahead with 550 USDT instead of 500. And the cool thing is that even though Binance facilitates all of this, they're not going to charge you a fee. So if you requested for 550 USDT and if this is the fixed amount, you're going to receive 550 USDT in your Binance wallet, and there will be no deductions basically by Binance. So we can click over here, buy with zero fee. And after that, you will be asked to pay the seller within this time frame that you can see over here. So typically Binance will give you about 15 minutes to do the transaction. So if you're doing a local transaction, usually the amount will get reflected on the other end immediately. So that's also one key thing to make sure when you're selecting the corresponding payment methods. Try to select a payment method where the transaction happens instantly or within a matter of maybe 5 to 10 minutes max, because then the seller will be able to verify that transaction and release the corresponding amount of cryptocurrencies to you. If the transaction takes days, then of course there's not going to be a way for the seller to verify the transaction. And even if you manage to send some proof from your side, the seller might not be able to still confirm it properly because of all the scams and stuff that are actually going on. So try to stick to a payment method that can be initiated instantly or at least within a matter of 5 or 10 minutes. Now in this case, if I'm using my local bank account, the transaction is going to be just instant. So I'm going to click over here to the payment method after verifying that all of this information appears to be quite alright. And when you click to payment page, you can see based on the seller's preferences, he has listed 2 different bank accounts. These are local Sri Lankan bank accounts, and he has given the bank account number, his name, and the bank branch and the city. So now all I have to do is just log into my local banking system or banking application and send the corresponding amount in LKR to this guy. After I select one of these options, you will be brought to a page like this where you can directly chat with the seller as well. Right over here, you can see the same details that you saw just a couple of seconds ago. So after you have done the transfer, you can click over here on transferred notify seller. And after you do that, you will be taken to a screen like this, and over here you can see that now Binance is giving the seller about 20 minutes to release your funds. And now what happens typically is that the seller is actually logging into his own bank account just to make sure that he has received exactly this amount. And while you're waiting for that, you can actually just click over here on the chat and just do a friendly notification to the seller saying that you have transferred the corresponding amount to his bank account. And after the seller has verified, you will get this sort of a window saying that you have received 550 USDT into your wallet. Well, that means everything went smoothly without any hindrances or without any issues. And you now have received 550 USDT in your Binance funding wallet. So I can click done over here, and at the same time I also can leave a positive review because everything went in an extremely smooth manner. And if you happen to head over to your spot wallet right now, at the first glance you might be a bit alarmed thinking that you actually haven't received your USDT. But do not be alarmed, because when you use the P2P method to receive cryptocurrencies, those cryptocurrencies do not end up in your spot wallet immediately. The wallet that they get stored in is called the funding wallet. Right over here you can see as the third option there is a tab called funding. So if you head over to this funding wallet, now you can see that there is 550 USDT in that funding wallet. And usually if you're using this USDT to make some purchases of cryptocurrencies using the Binance application, you cannot do that while these cryptocurrencies are retained in the funding wallet. You have to transfer this into your spot wallet, and only from there you can actually use this USDT to make trades or even to withdraw this out to an external wallet or an exchange. So the transferring process is actually fairly simple. You can see a big button over here saying transfer. So I'm going to click over here, and by default you can see that it has recognized our need. But in case if this is not set in the way how it should be, you can always select the corresponding option. In this case it's going to be a transfer from the funding wallet to the spot wallet, and down here is the place where you have to select the cryptocurrency. In this case, the currency that I'm trying to transfer over is USDT, so you have to go ahead and make that selection. And this transfer is just going to be immediate and there's no fee involved in this because it's an internal transfer. So after you have done that, you can head over to your spot wallet and immediately you will start seeing your cryptocurrencies or crypto assets that you just bought using the P2P method. And just as a side note, in case if you are trading this USDT for another coin like Bitcoin or Ether or ADA or Chainlink, any other coin of your choice, you can head over to trades over here. And if you click right over here, you will be able to search for the corresponding USDT pair that you wish to access, and you can make the purchase accordingly. And that's going to be as simple as that. And with that, we reach the end of this tutorial. I hope the steps were clear for you guys, and there might be updates to the Binance application from time to time, but the overall concept of purchasing cryptocurrencies using the P2P method is going to be basically the same, and the same steps are going to be applied if you're using the desktop application as well. So guys, if you do have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you guys. Please leave a comment down below. And if you do like these crypto related contents, you can also show your support by subscribing, and that way you will get notified immediately as soon as we upload a video on this channel. So thanks a lot for sticking around guys. I'll see you again with another video very soon.